take action because they're scared to fail, right? And so the thing that I want to instill in my boys and anybody I coach or mentor is, listen, failure is a part of success. You're never going to be successful until you fail.
Welcome back to the Cannonball Mindset. And I don't know, like, if I'm in like an adult Disney world, like, I don't know, like, what the hell is happening in my surroundings. But this, I know, if the environment sets the mood for the podcast, this shit's going to be off the hook.
It's going to be fire, brother. I'm excited to be here, man.
I'm sitting with Judge Graham.
Yeah.
Scale and exit authority. Like money. I don't know. Like, I feel like when I watch your podcast or listen to your stuff online, read your book, it's like it has some sort of energy behind it. It's like there's not many books that you read that you can feel the energy when you're holding a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. But that shit was like coming to life for me.
Yeah,
so I'm excited that I was able to get on a plane and drive down here and just shoot the shit with you and come up with some really great content around this idea of how one gets to where they want, both mindset-wise, financially, how you grow a business, and eventually, in your case, what you help people do is scale it up really big and then sell it off, and maybe start something else or take that money and go live in Tahiti and drink Bahama Mamas all day. I'm saying, I guess it's all what you want, right?
Exactly. It's all about that end game.
Yeah, so let's start. This is like, let's go back. Let's just start back. You're a graduate of TCU, football player,
Frogs.
right?
Yeah.
Football player. They, I don't know when this is going to air, but had a tough game last night. Took Kansas into overtime. But anyway, at what point? Let's tell us a little bit about schooling. Like, at what point did you say, man, I'm an entrepreneur? Like, when did it click? Because obviously you own your own company, unbelievably successful, and you help other people grow their business. When did you say, because it wasn't always like cool to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was for me, Chad, it was a small, like I was probably first, second grade. I remember vividly, I was sitting in the back of my mom's like beat up Oldsmobile. This is, back the day when shit didn't matter with seatbelts and stuff, right? I was sitting up first grade, second grade, or younger than that. And I'm holding on, looking around. And I remember seeing at the time this black 500 Benz, right? It just pulled up, right? And I'm in this, beat up old white Oldsmobile. And I looked at my mom and I said, what is that? And she's like, oh, that's, the Mercedes. That's like, at the time, 70,000 or whatever it was. And I knew right then, man, I said, in order to have things like that, I needed to make money, and something just clicked for me, right? And so from that stage, my mom was an art teacher, and she got these cool ass pencils. She would bring them home to me, and I would turn around and I would sell them at school for $1 a piece. And then that turned into, candy, into watches, into beepers, into whatever. So I've always had this mindset of wanting to make money, providing value, seeing opportunity, and selling things.
Wow. Okay. So this is really awesome because, there are people that are listening, or that you may say that to and say, oh, that's Judge, you're 5 years old and the desire to see a black Benz is like, no, it's not about the material Benz. It's life is more than that. How would you respond to that? I'm saying, because at 5 years old, to say I want that and then set up a plan and put it in motion.
See, people have the wrong mindset about money. So I've got this new thing you're gonna see. I'm always got my swag, right? I got my money sheet hat. I got different things. So I've got a new thing coming out. It's called WIMM. Where is my money? Okay, where is my money? Yeah. And what that means is, I want to recondition people to understand that having money is a good thing, right? When you say, where is my money in a company setting, what that means is the employee, where is my money? I'm coming here every day, and how do I get better, and how do I make more money, right? How do I make more money and provide more value to the clients that we're serving? And how do I make the company that's paying me more money? You see what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. So where is my money? If you take it in that lens and that mindset about serving yourself, serving the customers, and then serving the company, it's a win for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. So money is just the vehicle.
Money's the vehicle, right? And so anybody that says money is the root of all evil, they haven't experienced money. Money allows you to do things great. And we kind of talked earlier, like if you're an asshole before money or with money, you're still going to be an asshole. Money didn't change it, right?
It's just going to be a bigger one.
Yeah.
Right?
So, money is a good thing. It's how you use it. And, when you're building the economy and the economy's strong, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So, all right. So now you're this young entrepreneur. Pencils, beepers.
I'm glad you call me young. I like
well, I'm talking about back in the day, right? I'm going back, right?
I'm 40. I'm still young, right?
So now you're this young entrepreneur back in the day where you're selling beepers and watches and crayons and whatever, right? At what point? So you go to TCU, you enroll at TCU, to play football, and so I'm assuming, and I don't know, back. It had to be 15, 20 years ago. Did they have an entrepreneurial program?
No, they didn't. Now after I graduated, they actually started one, but they didn't. They didn't at the time.
So what is the idea of being a serial entrepreneur and going to college? I was just with Gary Vee, a month ago, and his thing is, well,
so is mine going to air after Gary Vee's?
Yes.
Dope. That's awesome.
Yes. I keep
Gary, if you're watching this shit, reach out to me.
Yeah, I go up in. So there's Gary Vee, and then I go up to bigger class, and I'm like Judge Graham. So his idea is that college isn't for everybody. That actually it's against some entrepreneurial mindsets. That if you're an entrepreneur, college might not be the best place for you. So you're an entrepreneur in a college that doesn't teach about entrepreneurship. So what do you do?
So listen, I have no issue with school, right? And if my two boys, Jake and Jet, they're 7 and 9 now, want to go to college, I want them to experience that. But school doesn't teach you the shit you need to know for business, right? Unless they're starting to, right? But like how to pitch, what it takes to win, what it feels like to lose, how to get up in front of an audience, how to build a proposal, how to negotiate. I mean, these are core things to be successful. How to have a freaking winning mindset, right? School doesn't teach that. So I appreciate Gary and Grant and everybody that says, hey, school's a waste of time because, if you're spending those 4 years, you're not getting that conditioning you need I just talked about. The difference, though, I believe in school is if you go there, you learn some behaviors, right? You learn some discipline. Hey, I got to go to class. I got to study for a test. Those are good discipline things, right? And if you're like me, I learned more from sports, right? Being a part of a team, what it takes to win, what it takes, feels like to lose. So those things were important from a collegiate perspective. Also, if you're building network in that time, it's a good use of time.
Yeah. So what would you say is the biggest lessons you learned by going to TCU? Because again, I have 2 daughters.
Yeah.
And I can't think of an avenue. Now they're 14, so we got a couple years, 3 or 4 years to decide this, but that they don't go to college.
Yeah.
Now my wife, who is a doctor and a lawyer, all about schooling. Yeah. She'll say no, they're going to school because they need the degrees, they need the education. Mm-hmm. For me, I never went to college. Yeah. My theory is they need to go to college just for the experience. Sure. So 2 different avenues, right? Yeah. What's the lessons that you learned in college that are helping you now?
Yeah, I would say it's the discipline, right? I mean, something I'm trying to teach my boys today is, I would say I learned more from sports than the academic side, right? I mean, what it feels like to be a part of a team, man, it's huge, right? The discipline it takes to get in shape, to learn, plays and those things, those are critical to success. Yeah. But school, the takeaway I had was discipline, right? If you don't study, you're not going to pass that test, right? If you don't commit to going to class, you're not going to pass. So it taught great discipline for me. That would be the big takeaway.
Why do people struggle so much with the discipline part? I'm saying, if you think about it, you can listen to your podcast, you can read Grant Cardone, you can follow Jesse Itzler or Gary Vee, you can go to the library, you can Google anything and find out the how-tos. Why is discipline, which I think is one of the key elements if you want success, totally. Why is that so hard for people to put into action?
Because everybody freaking thinks about ideas, right? So you have an idea, and an idea is nothing until you have a plan, and the plan is nothing until you take priority action, right? Not even just action. How are you prioritizing it and attacking it with discipline? So, I talk about all the time, the results happen in the work, right? People just don't want to put in the work, whether that's a relationship, it's working out, it's business, right? The freaking work is hard, right? The work is the shit behind the scenes that nobody sees, right? That everybody sees the success or the failure, but they don't see all the failures behind it, all the late hours, all the plane rides, the investments, all the shit that goes into winning. People just want to jump from fucking idea to win, and they don't want to do the work.
Yeah. And do you think that's a deep-seated desire for comfort, or do you think, because to me it's I've lived in that space. I've been in the space where I said I wanted great things, but my actions weren't representing it. And I'd say, all right, tomorrow's going to be the day. Tomorrow's going to be the day I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to put in a solid 12 hours. And I never got the results. If something would come up, and I would stay in my comfort zone until finally I just said, I'm tired of this life. I want more. I'm capable of more.
The reason, and you hit it, is you were scared to fail.
Yeah.
People don't take action because they're scared to fail, right? And so the thing that I want to instill in my boys and anybody I coach or mentor is, listen, failure is a part of success. You're never going to be successful until you fail, until you put yourself out there, right? We can learn so much from kids. I tell the story all the time. My son, a year ago, 7 years old, gets up on the stage, 500 freaking people, talent show, and is singing Bruno Mars, right? And dancing and just failing, right? Just doing, but doing it, right? And somewhere along that journey, as we become adults, we lose that innocence. We lose that ability to put ourselves out there because we've been conditioned as a society that you should be scared and you should be afraid to fail. Right? And so people can't break through success. Listen, I'm not the smartest guy, but man, I'm going to do it. I'm going to outwork you, and I'm going to fail more than you because it's ultimately going to win. And it's the people that are willing to be vulnerable and to embrace failure are the ones that become successful.
Yeah, I love that. I think you're so on to something, because I think for me, what the challenge is that society has blurred the lines between failing and failure. So what happens is I fail, and immediately I believe, well, then I am a failure.
Right.
And if I am a failure, then I do behaviors of failures.
Sure.
Right. I don't try anymore. I give up. And to me, failure is giving up. Failing is moving ahead. And so understanding the context of just because I fail doesn't make me a failure.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Is that I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and it's also important. You got to talk. I talk a lot about build your tribe. Right? If you're around people that view failing as failure, then guess what? You're a failure, right? You've got to be around people that go, listen, man, I saw you do that. That was fucking awesome that you put yourself out there. Here are 3 things constructively that you need to push and get better so you can start winning more. So it's a lot. Not only is it mindset, it's behaviors, it's actions, but it's people. Right? Who are you surrounding with? Who's in your tribe that's supporting you? Right? You look at some of the most successful people. I promise you they had an amazing mentor. I promise you they had an amazing coach. I promise you they had caring, loving parents that were confident, that gave them confidence. That's key. You need that in your life.
Yeah. So do you think that people surround themselves more with empathizers or disruptors? And which one should they surround themselves with?
Definitely empathizers, right? I mean, I think empathy. So I think a good leader needs to, you need to be somewhat enamored with, right? You need to be somewhat fearful of, and that leader needs to have some sort of empathy, right? And those 3 things typically make a really good leader, right? You need to know where they stand. Things need to be black and white. They need to be empathetic, but not accepting to situations, right? And so a disruptor is usually crazy, right? I mean, they just are, right? Steve Jobs, I mean, Elon Musk, I mean, these guys are a little freaking cuckoo. So they need a counterpart that has some of that empathy typically to be super successful. But if I had to pick right now, I would say I would rather be with a disruptor than someone that shows a lot of empathy, right?
Yeah, somebody that just So it tells me everything is great when it's not. It doesn't help me get better.
Yeah, there's always another level. Yeah. No matter what level you're on, there's always another level. So if you're surrounding yourself with people saying, oh, that a boy, you're doing great, good job, man, you've hit it, you've made it, you're just starting to settle.
Yeah, you end up just staying. It allows you to stay in your comfort zone. I don't need. Listen, I think a lot of people surround themselves with enablers. Yeah. And if you look at it, some of the people that enable us the most love us the most. Mm-hmm. Right? Because they don't.
Yeah, and they're not doing it out of spite or anything. That's a natural caring human tendency.
Yeah. So on that same line about tribes, mm-hmm. how do you find the tribe that you belong in? Like, how do you know that whether the team that you're around, the tribe that you're around, is helping you or hurting you? What's the self-gut check, the check that says, this person, because for me, 2019 is about divorce. And divorcing some of the bullshit mindsets that I've had that hit me in the back. Divorcing some of the friends that have allowed me to stay down or have kind of pushed me down. Divorcing some of my negative habits or habits that aren't serving me well. For you, how do you figure out and how do you do that gut check and say, hey, listen, this is a team race. Yeah. But this is my march. This is my warrior march.
Yeah, so it's easy, Chad. So the biggest thing is time, right? The thing you can't buy freaking more time. You can't make it. Time is the most valuable asset. So you need to gut check and go, how do I want to spend my time and who do I want to spend my time with? And if you're like, man, I don't want to spend my time with that person, it's the wrong person, right? And you don't always have to surround yourself with people that have exceeded or more than you have or equal. They just have to bring value, and you've got to provide value back, and it has to be meaningful. Yeah. And the way I measure that is time, right? How do I want to spend it, and who do I want to spend it with?
I love that. I recently had on the show Frank Shamrock, who former UFC heavyweight champion of the world, like this amazing human being, only undefeated champion of all time. And so he was in a book called Ego is the Enemy, written by a guy named Ryan Holiday. And he talked about his warrior code and the plus minus equal. And what he said was, I surround myself with people that are either the plus, and the plus being people that I want to become, that I can say, a lot of the people I interview, yourself included, is a plus. Judge Graham is a plus. A plus is somebody that has what I want, that I can submit my ego to, and learn from. So those are the pluses. The equals are my competitors. Right. The people that do exactly what I do. I want to find out what they're doing. I want to share content. I have to know what my competitor is doing. Right. If not, I'm not in the game. Yeah. And then the plus minus, and the minus is the people that I can contribute to, who I can give back to, who I can help make their life better, that I have something they want. I need to surround myself with those people and contribite back. Yeah. And you need to have all three in your tribe.
Yeah, it's great.
If you bought into that mindset, and I know I just told you, but if you bought into that mindset and you looked at your tribe, do you have all three? Do you have the plus, the minus, and the equals? Do you?
Yeah, I think I'd have to do some more self-reflection, but I think I do, man. And I don't let a whole lot of people into my life. Right, I mean, I've got a big, close, intimate, right? Because again, it's about that time,
You got to fill up. Everybody needs
my man Philip on camera. Woo!
Everybody needs to fill up, right, in their life. So you're guarded with your time. And
man, you have to be. But again, for me, also, it has to be aligned with your passion, right? I'm freaking passionate about business. Business is my hobby. I love it, man. I mean, it's like, I love growing and scaling companies. I love breaking through on niches and differentiating, right? So if people aren't as excited about business as I am, it's just not going to be a fit, right? I'm not talking, I don't play guitars and, other things. Business is my sport, right? And so I'm around people that want to do business, and if they don't see that, it's usually not a fit.
What if they and I love that. I love business is my sport. I think it's genius. I think that what if people, they're outcome of their business is different than what you want your outcome of yours. So let's say their outcome is, and we're going to talk about scale and an exit. But what if they want to grow their company, but not for the money part of it, just because this is what they love doing, and they realize that if I grow, I help all these people that work for me, and it opens doors for them. Maybe it's not about the money; it's about and you say that's okay. Do you still find that it's a match as far as your mindset to theirs?
Yeah, I would only caveat and say you're never going to have that unless you're successful in making money, right? Yeah. So if you're going to go on this journey, you might as well be profitable, along the way. And I would help guide them, to that outcome. The other thing is, I don't care any person that's starting a business. If you don't want to exit at some point, you'd be remiss to think that way, right? I mean, why not just prep it and be in a position on your terms to sell the business, right? I mean, why not? It's like you should always have options. So I would just counsel people of like, as you're building this, always be building it with the ability to sell it.
But do you think people, and again, I'm an entrepreneur, my wife's an entrepreneur. I can tell you that in the 3 years I've owned my own company, my wife has owned her own company for 12 years. She's got an unbelievably successful company. I have a growing company. I can tell you in the 15 years combined, I can guarantee I've never thought about selling my company. And the reason why I think on an unconscious level is, one, I can't even believe I own my own company. So the idea of selling somebody would want to buy. I still get humbled when somebody listens to this podcast or somebody signs on as a client. Like I can still find that like unbelievably humbling is the best way to say it. So to think that somebody would actually buy it is crazy to me.
My girl Soph's coming to the podcast.
Special guest. Yeah. So do you find that? Do you find that a lot of people say, I can't even believe I own a company, and the thought of selling it is like, that's never going to happen. It seems impossible. Do you find that at all?
Yeah, so you've got to start, going back to my book, Scale with Speed, what's your end game, right? And the end game is really important because it's not only what you want, why you want it, and the most important ingredient is when you want it. Okay? So if you want a freaking yacht, I can promise you, I don't care how successful your company is, more than likely you're going to have to sell it to buy a yacht.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to understand what you want out of your life, why you want it, and when you want it. And once you have that formula, that in-game formula, it would allow you to better kind of architect out your business.
So before we get into that, let's talk about your company. So you graduate TCU, and you move to Houston. You go from Fort Worth to Houston. Is that the progression?
No, I went to Houston to Fort Worth. Started my first company, grew it, successful, and failed. I went bankrupt, right? And the lesson I learned there was I didn't have recurring revenue. I wasn't building a company to sell. I was building a company for a lifestyle. I was building a company because I thought it was fun. I was building a company because I had all these people working for me, and I didn't have a mentor at that time showing me, listen, if you're going to build a company, you should build it for longevity. You should build it to exit. Right. And so that was that failing moment, right? Not failure moment. That failing moment for me changed everything, right? That state of mind that I'm never going to feel this way again. I'm never going to build a company this way again. And it changed everything for me. Yeah. And so, my second book I just wrote is called Mastering Recurring Revenue, because recurring revenue is so key in any business to grow it, to have predictability, to have comfort, to make decisions. So it's a big part of something I implement in companies.
Okay, so how do you rebound? So you go through that, and then you're like, all right, now I'm going to start.
Well, yeah, you're sitting there. If you're a true entrepreneur, right? I mean, you've got a couple choices. You go in the corner and cry, right? Which I did for a little bit, right? Yeah. And then you get out of the, because you got to hit freaking low, man. I mean, here I am. I got mortgage. I've got car payments. I've got my brand new marriage. We're 6-7 months into it, and I've got a baby on the way. Right? And my wife's not working. Right? So you got to dig deep here, right? I mean, how do you overcome that? So you go in the corner, you cry for a little bit, you come out of it, and you got a choice, right? You're either going to rally and try to figure something out, or you're going to go, try to go take a job. And I rallied, and I did whatever it took to make that happen. I mean, I'd get up at 3:30 in the morning and I wouldn't get home until 11:30, 12 at night, and I would take a nap and do it all again. I did that for 2 years. Right. And I'm not saying like, hashtag fucking hustle and all this shit that people say. Like, I had to do that. Right. Now, if you don't have to do that, that's great. But that was what was required in order for me to be successful.
Yeah. Desperation or inspiration.
Yeah, man, you pick. You got two options. Right.
Yeah. So now you're sort of fast forward 12 years.
Yeah.
Now you own a unbelievably successful company.
Yep.
You live in a ridiculous adult Disneyland house, right? And you have a top podcast. You've written already an amazing book. You now have another book on the way. Let's talk about what you teach in all of these, in all of this. Let's talk about this. One of the things I'd love to talk about, that I've learned from you on your podcast, is niches get you riches.
Totally.
Niches get you riches. What does that mean? Like, explain that to the people that are listening. Niches get you riches.
Yeah, so think about this. And I use this example all the time. Why do brain surgeons make more money than general practitioners?
No clue.
Because the general practitioner is a multitude of things. You've got a stomach ache, you got a headache, you got a whatever. They're doing a multitude of things, right? They're not premium. Right? If you have a freaking brain tumor, you're going to find the best brain surgeon out there, and they're going to charge you 15 times X that general practitioner. Why is that? Is because it's niche, because they understand their trade, they understand their craft. They've built their whole business around it. Every case study that they have in result is about successful brain surgeries, where that practitioner has multiple things that they're pointing to, right? When you go an inch wide, I can't do that, inch wide, mile deep, right? Everything becomes tight. Your processes, your staff, how you position yourself, your content, your results that you share, right? I'm doing a mastermind right now. It's called Dominate Mastermind. And the whole idea is quit freaking competing and start dominating. And the only way you dominate is once you become niche. And what I mean by that is anytime you show up and you're bidding, you're pitching, right? The competition is going to fucking lose because you're so fucking inch wide and mile deep and you know your craft. It's not even a comparison, right? So if somebody was coming here to redo my roof and they were niche, right? They were an inch wide and a mile deep, and they showed up with a proposal versus the general contractor. The general contractor said, yeah, we've done 15 roofs, but we've done kitchens, we've done all this shit. And I look at their website and it's about remodeling. Right? But they do roofs. But the guy that shows up and it's Steve's multi-million-dollar home roofs, right? That's his niche. And he comes in and every case study he has is homes that look like mine, roofs that look like mine, content that looks like mine, how to work with the insurance agent for a roof my size, all those things. Well, the fucking guy wins. Yeah. It's not even a competition, right? That's dominating. Right? That's niche. That's the difference. And so many businesses get scared to go deep because it's scary, right? When you're a small business, you just want to take revenue, right? My first business, I lost because of that, right? We were really good at websites. And all of a sudden they were like, well, man, you guys are creative. Can you do a logo? Well, fuck yeah. I can charge you 10 grand. Yeah, I'll do a logo. Right now you're doing logos. Well, yeah. Can you do PR? Well, yeah, I can figure that out. You do it. Well, now you're hiring incremental staff that you don't need. You're taking on risk and liabilities you don't need, and you lost your way. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, more than you know. So committing to one thing that you want to own the space at.
Market leader, domination. How do you own the fucking content? How do you own the messaging? How do you own the case studies? How do you own the website? Everything, right? You are the authority, right? I am the scale and exit authority. There is no one better. Google it. There's no one. I'm it. I'm the scale and exit authority. Period. You want to grow your company and put a position to sell it, I'm the guy. There's nobody better. Period. That's my niche.
And so how do you know that that's you? Not you know. How does somebody find out what their niche is? Because I could say, well, my niche is podcast. It could be that I own a sales training company. Most people that are listening to this podcast don't even know that I own a sales training company. They believe I'm a motivational speaker. So I've done a very poor job of finding the niche.
Yeah.
So how do you know what your niche is? What you are going to be best at?
Yeah. So I think you have to look at currently what you're doing, right? I start with it and I call it, a competitive dissection. right? So right now, who are you losing market share to? Who are the top 2 people you're losing market share to, and who aspirationally do you think you are or that you would be losing market share to, right? Then I go through and you do a SWOT analysis. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are the threats against each one of those? And you have this self-reflection of, and then you match that to your revenue, right? Most businesses lie to themselves, right? They go, man, I'm in the whatever business, but when you cut the P&L, it's like 5% of their business is that, right? So you have to start with what you're good at, where you're making money at, and where you think your competitors are vulnerable. And that, to me, starts the niche, right? And then you have to commit to that freaking niche. You got to go an inch wide. You got to go a mile deep. You've got to own it. You got to change your website. You got to change the copy. You got to change the content. You've got to invest in externally evangelizing that you're the market leader. You don't win until you become the market leader, and you can't become a market leader until you become niche.
Wow. Yeah. I love that shit. I love it. And that's a lot of work. It's so much easier to take the money on the wide, right? On be everything to everyone,
right?
And take the money. But what you're saying is it's not sustainable.
Well, it's not sustainable, right? I mean, short term, the wide is probably better, right? If you're just starting. But the long game, man, if you're not playing the long game, you're playing the wrong game, period, right? And so the long game, if you're niche, you have scale, right? Remember what I talked about. Your processes become tighter. Who you hire becomes tighter. Your results become tighter. Everything's tight. That's my thing, man. If I can get it fucking tight, really tight, and you're very concise and direct, you start to win in everything that you do, and scale becomes easy. Enterprise value becomes important, right? So is a company going to want to pay you more money if you do a bunch of shit, or you do one thing and you're the best at it, right? You're going to get a premium for that because you're the market leader.
Yeah. How do you differentiate yourself? I get the inch wide, mile deep. I get the niche. Right now, it seems like there's a lot of people entering a lot of spaces.
Totally.
In the training world, in the gurus.
Yeah.
Every day there's a new guru. There's behavioral change experts. There's mindset experts. There's it's unbelievable.
Yeah, totally.
And what you need to become one of these people,
right,
is just to say that you are.
Yeah.
How in the beginning do you differentiate yourself to get to that point where you can start investing and going deep, where you can start, like, if you're a new company, how do you differentiate yourself?
Well, I think by committing to the niche, it forces you, right? You're going to get there faster, right? So now you build content that's all around that niche, right? Your prospecting efforts are all around that niche. It's going to be hard for anybody at first, right? You got to build, all these things, these assets. You got to build clients. You've got to build results. Listen, the best marketing and advertising is from the freaking customer, right? So go win, go fucking get revenue and deliver, and that niche will start to form itself. Yeah. One thing I talk about all the time, right? I mean, is this money sheet. What are the 6 to 8 priorities you're doing that day to generate revenue? If you're a company, you're not spending at least 75% on revenue every day, you're going to fail. If you're a new company, you're not spending 75%, you're just going to fail, right? Entrepreneurs get this idea of just noise and shit they think they need to be doing. You need to be selling. You need to be generating revenue in your niche, and those customers you need to deliver for are going to give you testimonials, and that's going to start to allow you to have content to become a market leader.
I love that. So let's talk about the money sheet, because you talk about the money sheet a lot.
Yeah.
If you're not following this guy on social media, read his book, listen to his, I'm saying you gotta get in tune to all of it, because it's good shit. And one of the things you talk about a lot on almost every Facebook Live I see, or post, is, did you do your money sheet? Let's talk about the money sheet. So totally. What is the money sheet?
So I'm actually this month I'm dropping literally revenue planners every day, money sheets that you can actually get. So the money sheet is, and I've got a whole framework we could get into, but the money sheet ladders up to your annual goals. And the idea of the money sheet is, from the CEO to the freaking intern, I get the entire organization aligned on executing to the annual goal, right? And I do this through rhythms, cadences, mindsets, behaviors. But the money sheet is the tactical thing that by 9:30 in an organization, a.m., everybody is filling out their money sheet. What are the 6 to 8 top priorities that ladder up to, there's a little box, what is your monthly target, and where are you pacing today against that target, right? And you have to prioritize against that, and you can't leave. I don't care about time. I don't measure time, right? I measure activity level, right? So if it takes you 3 hours, great. If you can do more, fantastic. If it takes you 23 hours and 30 minutes, you got to finish your fucking money sheet, right? Because it's creating a habit and it's forcing you to do activities that you don't like, but that generate revenue. And that's what the money sheet is. And as simple as it sounds, when you align an organization to an annual target, to quarterly targets with owners, and then those owners break it down to weekly, and then you meet as an organization daily, and basically executives meet, 10 minutes, boom, they delegate, those teams meet, and I don't care how big the organization is, by 35 minutes, the entire company can be aligned, and everybody is in rhythm, and everybody's doing something. They have purpose because they're filling their money sheet out, and they understand the bigger objective. And then the next day you're talking about it. Why was it missed? The accountability comes in place. You create momentum, you create culture, and you create speed, right? And you create the difference between a lackadaisical culture to a growth culture, and a growth culture yields results, and results yield revenue.
Yeah, I love that. And so your experience is when you take a company on, and this is who you work with companies of all sizes, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say my sweet spot, I mean, like the lowest would be, a company is probably a few $1,000,000 in revenue, up to probably 100 million in revenue, 150 million in revenue is really my sweet spot.
And so you're not just affecting, hey, call me when you're ready to sell. Really, it's the sell at the end is the fait accompli. It's really the scaling, and then, hey, I'll help facilitate this sale.
Yeah, I give you a great example right now. I'm working with a guy, and we got him. He came to me. He had an offer. We looked at that offer, and we're making some minor changes. This is in 40 days. Where we're optimizing his P&L. We're tightening up his margins. We're changing some things, and already based on where we're trending, he would get if we were to sell today. Now this is 45 days in. He'd get an extra $4 million, right? So I'm coming, anywhere in the growth of the company to the prep of the company, right? I mean, the difference is I'm a real guy, man. I'm a real entrepreneur. I know what it feels like not to make payroll. I know to sleep up. I have empathy and I understand the entrepreneur because I've been there. But the other side of it is I understand the investment banking side. I've sold multiple companies. I know what you got to prep to do. I know what's about to happen. I know the pain you're about to experience. I know the process. So I can help get them in position, kind of pre-investment banker. And there's a lot of value because I can increase that enterprise value. I can increase that multiple, and I can ultimately get them more money if I come in a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I love that. So, all right, so let's jump a little bit. Let's jump a little bit to the other side. So now you have this money is your growing business. Business is your life. Business is your sport. Making money is the result. How do you disconnect? So how do you disconnect? Because I consider myself a pretty high energy guy,
right?
But you're like a Chad on 10 Red Bulls, right? You know what I'm saying? So you got a shitload of energy.
Yeah.
So what is for you? What is the off time? What does that look like?
It's tough, man, and my wife's amazing being married to me, right? Because she's got to deal with it. Yeah. The off time is we try to vacation. Like I travel a lot, but I'll bring my wife with me. So we'll be in New York next week, the week after, and so she'll come up 3 or 4 days and stay the weekend. And I try to just kind of unplug, and just do different things. But the other thing is I've brought my wife into this business for the first time, and that's been good too because she now is a part of all of this and living it, and so it's just brought us even closer.
Because what the reason I ask that question is because I think what a lot of people struggle with, or I shouldn't say I don't want to speak for other people. Let me speak for me. The thing that I had struggled with for a while, which I'm building up now, is endurance. Mm-hmm. And not just obviously endurance. When people think endurance, they think of like I run marathons. I'm building up endurance to run a marathon.
Yeah.
But this whole everything you talk about, scale and exit and growing business and making money, that's all takes a lot of endurance and growing your threshold to be able to deal with it. Right?
Yeah.
So how do you get to the point where you are because I think a lot of people drop. I don't like the word burnout, but I think they just get exhausted.
Yeah.
And entrepreneurial fatigue, I think is a real. I don't know if it's a real thing. I've never heard that expression, but to me it is.
Right.
I find myself getting fatigued. I'm like, all right, I gotta get my mind right. I gotta build up some more threshold to grow a little bit more.
So the difference is, and I talk about this in my book, anybody that tells you, and you're a runner, right? And I love that. I want to start running. I think that's cool, man. It's good. I believe you need an outlet. You need to get the blood flowing, right? Yeah. I think that's very important, right? Some of your best thinking comes, in those states of running or just, getting that white space, that headspace. Yeah. But so being a marathon runner, you'll appreciate this analogy. Everybody always says, "Slow down, little Billy. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon." That's a fucking lie. Listen, it's a sprint marathon. You need to be running as fast as you can as a marathon, but you got to have the right framework. And the way you don't get fatigued is you're so freaking busy, right? You're making so many moves, you're doing so much activity that you can't get burnt out. Right, I mean, look at like you just interviewed Gary Vee. I mean, that dude, he's too busy to get fatigued. What happens is when you slow down and you treat it like a marathon, you get more time to think about shit. You go, man, I've been working really hard. Is this really working? You second guess yourself. Stay freaking busy. Stay active.
Love that shit. That might be the best advice that I've heard. One in any podcast I've done.
Boom.
but for life in general.
Yeah, I mean,
you're right. When I slow down, when my critic in my head starts to seep in. When I'm busy. Yeah. Like this morning, I got up. I went for a run.
Right.
I
loved it. Yeah, I saw that.
I did a 10-minute headspace mindset meditation, and then I immediately got on a call and pushed an agenda that was trying to make it happen, and then get in the car, I come here, I'm going to do 2 more podcasts. If I have downtime, it's when I'll start to question and the critic in my head starts to take over.
Well, yeah, and the thing you don't have, and Philip and I talk about this, all the time, is you don't have fucking time. Yeah. Right? How old are you now?
45.
Okay, I'm 40. You're 45. Who knows, dude? It could be tomorrow, right? And so you got to keep that time sacred and maximize it, right? I mean, do you really need a fucking break? You know what I mean? Right, if you love what you do, then you're doing what you love. You know what I mean? So like
Gary says, and a lot of people say, like, I love what I do.
Yeah.
So it's not like Mondays come and I'm like, Mondays. I'm like, it's just another day. It's another day. I get to get back to work. But I also love Saturdays and Sundays when I spend time with my kids and my wife.
100%, it's a balance.
This isn't business in spite of family and other interests. This is business as part of your DNA, as much as family, as much as running is or whatever. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to shut it down just to kind of whatever. But what's been great about my wife is I was always just all business. Right. And then the weekend I was like, dude, I just need a break. And she's pushed me to make sure we're going full tilt with friends, with family, with kids. So my life is freaking full tilt. Right. But I'm not going to have any regrets. I'm not missing anything, dude. It's just not happening.
Yeah. I love that shit. All right. Last couple of questions. So one, what's the end game for you? So if scale and exit is the end game that you teach, then what's the scale and exit for you?
Yeah, so it changed. So I tell people you need to do it every year, right? Because what happens is you hit a goal, and then it has to be different. So previous my end game was money, right? And I've hit that end game, but there's always more, right? So to be part of this end game, right, instead of getting tactical and exactly what it is, man, I love business, right? It's my sport. I mean, I love taking and seeing a company, right? So even people I'm mentoring now, helping them get to that life-changing event. I mean, dude, I want to get paid for doing that, but seeing their life transform, right? From going from grinding to now they're a multi-millionaire, right? In what they're able to do and achieve, that right now is my end game, right? Is that euphoric feeling, right? It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And you could do that to grave. You could do that until the day you're in the box.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't, I'm saying you're only going to get better.
Yeah.
You only get more wise. You only get more education, more wisdom,
More grays.
more grays. So who do you follow? Like, who are your? If you were to look at it now, who are the people that you've surrounded? Like, what are the mentors, the podcasts, the books you read? What are you filling your mind up with?
Yeah, I like I believe Phil's pointing. Look at me, man.
Philip's like, first of all, for those of you, Philip Anthony, he's like the Yoda, right?
Yeah.
He's like, so he's the perfect combination between Zen and Gary Vee. Like,
yeah.
Like, yes, I have the energy of Gary Vee, but I'm gonna talk to you about the mindset of the brain and the face.
Right.
The old wise, like everybody needs that, right? Isn't that what you consider?
Exactly.
Right. Fucking this Yoda Gary Vee. I'm sorry. All right, go ahead.
No, you know what, man? What I love about I'm a real guy, right? And I'm direct. I'm no bullshit. I have minimal, low tolerance for things. What's been cool about watching people like Grant and Gary Vee, they're authentic, right? And they're a little bit more edgy. They're a little bit more street, and I relate to that. I like it. So I think those guys are great. I think that even some guys out here that I'm connected with, like Matt Monero, I don't know if you know, you need to get him on.
Yeah.
Matt Monero is awesome. So, I just try to surround myself. I love audio. I need to record my book in audio, but I like to immerse myself. And, if you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're dying, right?
Yeah. So how much time do you allot to personal growth? Do you, like, percentage wise, how much time are you spending growing Judge Graham?
Yeah, I would say a lot, man. I mean, I am constantly in what I would call diligence mode, right? I mean, I'm constantly looking at, how's this person presenting this, or, what is their angle? And, I would say 30-40%. I mean, I'm constantly wanting to learn and get better and hone my craft.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so I'm sure. Listen, I believe this to be true, that as people listen to this podcast, they Google whoever I'm talking to,
right?
If they didn't know them before, but if they Google your name, your shit is everywhere. I don't know how one person can own the internet. I'm like, this guy is like, I obviously do a ton of research. I've already known you, but I'm like, all right, let me find out what's out there. And you put Judge Graham into the internet, and your shit is everywhere.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate that.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So whoever's doing your marketing is owning that shit.
Yeah.
But where do people find you? Where's the best way to
the best
connect?
way is at Judge Graham, or pretty much all my social handles. Facebook is at Judge Graham Business, and then judgegraham.com.
And then you have a podcast, which is like in the top 50 business podcasts.
Yeah.
Which to some people say, well, 50. There's no less than 5,000, 20,000 business podcasts alone.
Yeah.
So to be in 50 is pretty. Somebody just said, Chad, what did you finish? I was on a plane, I was talking to this lady, so what did you finish the Chicago Marathon in? I was like, well, I finished 18,765. And she had this look on her face like I was crawling through it, right?
Yeah.
Well, there were 52,000
Oh,
people
dude, that's
that
awesome.
ran.
Congrats.
I'm like, all right, yes, it sounds like a lot, but there was still a lot behind it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To be in 50 out of the thousands and thousands is pretty freaking remarkable, especially because your podcast has been around like less than a year, right?
Yeah.
It's crushing it. So what's the name of your podcast? Where do they find your shit?
Scale and Exit on iTunes or Stitcher. Just Google Judge Graham, like you said. I'm pretty much everywhere.
And it's not. And just to be this podcast isn't for the weak of heart.
Yeah,
like,
no.
I'm saying,
it's real shit.
That? Like, this is real shit. Like, don't think you're gonna come on and hear, oh, well, you don't feel well today. Don't get up and do your money sheet.
Right.
That's it. I haven't heard that episode.
Yeah.
Like,
that episode doesn't exist.
Stay in bed and read Chicken Soup for the Soul. That book has not been written by Judge Graham yet. So this is real shit, and I think people need that.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the deal, man. I'm at a point in my life where I'm selective in who I spend my time with or who I work with, and so you're either gonna like me or you're not, right? But you're not gonna get any soft shit from me. So if you're listening to this and you want some soft shit, don't fucking subscribe.
This isn't for you. But if you want to get better, if you want to make more money, if you want to scale your business, even if you're afraid to say, because here's the thing, I think, and that there is a fear associated with people just saying, I want a freaking Benz. I want a great house. I want to make money.
Yeah.
I think there is a stereotype fear that shit, I have to be deeper than that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, which is bullshit. I mean, listen, those things, once you get them, right, it's a car, right? And then it wears off, but it's the idea that you were able to get it, right? I mean, I think people get confused on, I'm getting it because I've always wanted this Lamborghini, I've always wanted this G-Wagon or whatever it is. It's more that you got to a place you have the ability to get it. You know what I mean? Right. And once you get it, it's good, and now it's something else. But it's okay to want monetary things, right? I mean, why is that a bad thing?
I can't even begin to tell you. I bought a new house a little over a year ago, and I posted a picture on Facebook in a reply to somebody.
Yeah.
I can't begin to tell you the shit I got for it.
Yeah.
And it's not this huge mansion, it's not this palatial estate, but it's a nicer house than what I lived in.
Yeah.
And I got a rash of shit for it because people believe, because I posted it, it's about ego. And for me, there's not a person in this world that I think that I'm better than.
Right.
Nobody.
Yeah, totally.
But I also don't believe that I'm any worse than any person in this world.
Yeah.
And so I look at the house and bought something that my wife, my family wanted, that I wanted.
Right.
And it wasn't about status. It was just about, this was our dream house and we had worked hard for it. But people have trouble with that. People have a real issue with
Wrong tribe.
Wrong tribe. That's exactly right. And the people that I lost, you know what? It hasn't affected my life. And I don't mean that in a negative way. But some people are on their own warrior march that they have to do on their own. And this, you're right, it's all about wrong tribe.
Yeah.
That's great.
100.
Awesome. All right. Last question.
I'm ready.
Last question.
Let's do it.
So you're 40. Young. Although you do have some grays coming in. Then you have 2 kids that's coming in, right? Just like me. So, but you still have hair. So that shit's not fair. So when you leave this earth 70 years from now.
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to be cremated too. I don't want to. You said box. I don't want to. No box. Yeah, cremation.
I'm all about frozen. I want to be. I'm going out Walt Disney style.
All right. You coming back?
Bring my ass back. Right. So 70 years from now, when you leave this earth, what do you want your contribution to have been?
Man, a lot of people say, I want to change the world and everything. I mean, I'm still somewhat of a grounded guy. I want to walk away being an amazing father, husband, and friend, right, and mentor. And if somebody was to stand up and say that, while they're throwing those ashes in the ocean, then to me, I'd check the box.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Simple, man. It's what people don't realize. It's the small wins that add up to the big one, right? So if you can incrementally change somebody's behavior, mindset, make them have a better day, make them some more money, and you do that incrementality, it compounds, right? And that's the power of this new digital world we're living in. Social, man, if I can my content, I'm not selling it, right? Philip, do I sell any shit on content? Hardly anything, right? I'm going to. If you're watching this, I'm going to sell some shit at some point, right?
Going to monetize it.
Because where is my money, right?
You do give a lot of shit away for free.
Yeah, but you know what? It's I think it all comes back, man. You can't build a brand. You have to invest. You've got to provide fucking value, right? No relationship ever works unless both parties are getting some value, right? And so you can't just expect to just start monetizing without providing value. And if somebody's in a bad spot or they're having trouble, like, man, should I fire this person or not? Or how do I handle this kind of conversation? And they watch a Whiteboard Wednesday and I was able to help impact that, man, that's a fucking win.
Oh yeah, Whiteboard Wednesday. Wednesday used to be hump day. What day is it? Hump day? Yeah. But you're taking this shit over. It's renamed now, Whiteboard Wednesday.
Yeah.
So if you listen to this and this will air on a Tuesday, put in your calendar right now for tomorrow to go to your site and see Whiteboard Wednesday.
Yeah, just hit my YouTube channel. Yeah. It's on fire. Philip and I are doing some cool ass, we call them fire videos, Philip. And so, they're fire video, man, it's fire. It's like 3 minutes of just badass, motivational, real shit, So a lot of cool content coming out.
Awesome. I love that shit. All right, well, listen, first of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely,
it's
man.
one thing do the podcast, another thing to open your home.
Yeah, of course.
Especially, a home like this. So I have a lot of gratitude for you.
Yeah.
If you're not following this guy, buy his book, because your book is insane. His next book will be coming out. Follow his podcast. Man, follow him if you want to grow your business. And even if you don't own your own business.
Yeah.
Follow this guy, because it'll change your view on how you contribute at work and how you can grow yourself at work too. Because making
100%.
money, show me the money, isn't just about if you own your own company, because you said to yourself,
it's mindset behaviors.
Yeah, it's mindset behaviors.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, listen, thanks very much, brother.
Make it happen. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks.
Make it happen. You got to make it happen. Thanks.